I was in Uttarakhand and I'd written a short story. It was during the pandemic, and I just sent a message out, and my friends from the DSM in Uttarakhand all responded and they said, "We'll come, we'll help you make your show." And they were right there with me throughout the process.
Action.
So when I was growing up and I was a young actor, people often told me, "Oh, that's a really nice hobby you have out there." And, I treated it as a hobby till I went to school. And there, it changed because your teachers, your mentors, and actually none of the other students when I studied thought of it as a hobby, because they thought of it as a career that needs to be built, nurtured, and really pursued with a desire to excel. And it means that you want to keep pushing, you want to keep increasing your skill level, keep trying to do better, keep trying to find new ways to do what you do in your storytelling. And that for me is extremely, extremely important. Every day I wake up to try and work on my body. Even if I'm only performing 7 times a year, I'm constantly in training to be a better performer the next year, and to open my eyes to what is happening around the world. What can I do to make my own projects and work still better? This is important for us as a community to improve and make better work, to open our eyes to practice, to understanding what is the changing dynamics of performance around the world. These things are important as well, to look at it not just as I want to be an actor in front of an audience and have a really nice time and then I want the audience to clap for me. Great, finished, over. I mean, you can do that. But when you come to our world, which is DSM, which is really growing you to be a professional, that's not enough. We're saying, how are you excelling still further? What that is a constant conversation. It's an evolving conversation. But at the heart of it, that desire must be there. And that's a professional desire as well, to see what can we do more? How can we, as a community, really improve the way we work? What kind of stories should we be taking up further and further? What's the role of gender and performance and character? So many of these questions are important, and this becomes part of how you want to be in a professional setup. So it's very holistic, it's very career driven. It's no longer looking at acting as a hobby or something that's just easy to do. We're really looking at it as a big artistic process, and how can we do really much better at it. I have to say that some of the most exciting years of my life have been at drama school. And so one is that it is life-changing because of the experience that you have immersed in practice. When you go to a school, you have so many great friendships that are for life. So you've built a really large community that does the work that you do. Education itself, when it's something that you love doing, and most of us have been through education systems, study things that were not at all relevant to what we were interested in. And now, for the first time ever, you're seeing education in theatre arts really blossoming in our country. And if you can have that opportunity to really train, to give yourself that exposure, to really work on every single muscle of yourself, to be guided and mentored by the best teachers in the country, it only makes our work better. It makes us better informed as people about the arts that are in our country and around the world. And therefore, I think there's nothing better than having that experience of complete immersion in an education experience with the arts. Well, DSM is just full of really wonderful people, and that's what makes it a great place to be. We're more than 100 people, and you're saying 100 people who love what we do. And we have, I would say, mostly a very positive, healthy, fun-loving attitude, even though we talk about work and rigor. But at the heart of us, we're all a bunch of very positive, fun people. And that's a nice place to belong. And I come back home to DSM because I get excited to watch what is the new work that's happening out of there. I get excited by watching students work, because you're hearing stories about a new generation of people, and why do they want to tell these stories, and how are they telling it. I love to see the excitement with which they perform to an audience based on a year of training, and then trying to apply it. That process of trying to make something is what we all celebrate, because we know how hard it is to make theatre. We know that it's not often the most financially rewarding, but I think everyone that's part of DSM, the 100 people, really believe in it and are excited by the process. We're there with each other. We're there to support each other and say, we have to keep doing what we're doing. We love it, and at the same time, we push each other to do better. And it's a very joyous space, and it's full of a lot of laughter. I would always be running back to be with the DSM gang, just for that. I think right from the beginning, when I first heard about the DSM, what it sets out to do and be, to these years now, and the Eklavya program, I think at the core, nothing has changed. Everybody who belongs to DSM truly believes that the arts matter, and when that core hasn't shifted, we're only building on that idea. And therefore, education is part of that. Creating community is part of that. What are our value systems? What is our ethos as a community of artists? And that, for me, is DSM. You're signing up for really long, tough days ahead of you. And that's not a bad thing. I just say everyone's got to know what they're signing up for, which is that it's a tough course. Your teachers are going to push you. We don't like mediocrity, and so we really believe in pushing each individual to open themselves up to more. It can be physically tiring, mentally exhausting, but that's what it takes, I think, to really find the next stage in your practice. We're also a fun school. We're also a fun course. Every teacher who comes is an extraordinary being in themselves. They're all creators and teachers and fun people. So even though we practice hard, we have a great sense of humor, we have a great sense of camaraderie, and I think the energy is infectious. Again, the great thing is that every teacher is also a practitioner, and you'll be seeing how we put our work with you, our own principles, our own tools and techniques into practice. When you go out there, the community always exists. So we are always in dialogue about how you are using your practice, how is it evolving, how is it changing. And I think most of the work that we do is so practical, it's so skill-based. The application is just natural. You will continuously be in a mode of, I hope, self-study and self-exploration, and the idea of that education is ongoing. Even once you leave a school, you will be in a position to really look at every opportunity of an experience as something that you learn from. Every time a new project comes my way, or I have a need for a collaborator or even an assistant or somebody to bounce ideas off, I just have to send a message to our community group, and I'll get all the responses and many people up for joining me and collaborating with me. Everyone from DSM shares the same ethos, shares the same kind of practice. We share a lot of the language. We get each other in the quickest way. It's just the easiest way to work together, and there's such a big bank of talent that is out there, and it's so accessible, and like we get each other, so working with each other is pure chemistry.